Hey there, Pisces. Welcome to your reading for the week of December 29th. You start with this naked in public card. It says vulnerability, shame, and unprepared. You have this receiving card. It says gratitude, acceptance, and recognition. I think that learning to receive would be a good thing for you, not only this week, but, for the next year. And, learning to accept recognition would be a good idea for you. It's like maybe you feel vulnerable when you receive recognition for the things that you're working on or creating. That could also be the thing that is holding you back, Pisces. Again, you're all different, so, take it how it resonates. But, it's like sometimes I think if we have that vulnerability where it's like we want to be successful, but, maybe part of us is afraid of like what will happen if people see us being successful, that can create a blockage and prevent us from being successful. So, I would take a close look at those, kind of like inner blockages or whatever you want to call them, and, see if you can work on those things because it'll probably help you the most. You start with the Seven of Wands, the Chariot, and the Page of Pentacles. Seven of Wands is a card of conviction. It says when you know that something is going to work, that's when it will truly work. I think, kind of what's popping into my head here as well for you, Pisces, is that it's like I feel you have already had the idea that will make you successful, this year, moving into 2026. And so I just feel like there's a need to commit to the idea with the Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands can feel a little bit unprepared or underprepared as well, and that card says unprepared on it because, he has two different shoes on his feet on this card. So, the story of the card is that he had to rush out of his home to defend his position at the top of the hill, and he doesn't feel ready. But, really, the whole point of the card is that he's as ready as he's going to be, so he might as well get to work now. And look at this. You have the Eight of Pentacles right here. And so I think like I said, I think you've already had the idea. And this is probably something you're going to work on this year. And, I would get to work. You have the Chariot. The Chariot is about having a victory or having a big success. You're going to keep getting these cards about setting yourself apart, Pisces. Definitely like an important part. I think something that no one talks about for Pisces is Uranus and Gemini. Uranus is going into Gemini, your fourth house, Pisces, the root of your chart. I think we talked about this in your last reading. The root of your chart stabilizes your entire chart. So again, even if you're not a fourth house Gemini, Pisces, doesn't matter. It's going to affect all Pisces pretty similar. So what I would say here is that Uranus and Gemini, in the fourth house, can have to do with your home and all these other things, but, it can represent setting yourself apart in pretty much any area of your life. So being different, being unashamed, that naked in public card says shame. So doing things unapologetically and really charging in the directions that you already know is probably going to be the thing that leads to victories. And you could have a victory this week. You have the Page of Pentacles. Yeah, learning. I feel like you're in a learning period. You've been in a learning period for a long time. I guess the good news is that you're kind of like coming to the end of a learning period, or you're coming to the end of, kind of like a long period of having to experiment and try new things. And, this is going to be really good for you because, I feel it's almost like, I don't want to say that there's less work to do. I think there's less repeat work to do is what I feel for you. I think over the past many years, you've had to redo a bunch of stuff. And luckily, I feel that is coming to an end. It's like you're still going to be learning. You're still going to be trying new things. But it's a lot less, back to the drawing board, a lot less having to, go back and do something over and over and over again. And, that's going to be a good thing. Also, for those of you that want love, you do have a lot of good love cards here, especially this bottom row. So you have the Emperor, the Three of Cups, and the Lovers. Definitely could be attracting an Emperor or a divine counterpart, whatever you're into. And, could be a new person. Page of Pentacles usually starts with communication. Here you go. With the Seven of Wands, you have the Page of Pentacles. You're ready for a fresh start. Page of Pentacles can be a fresh start energy, or just say that you are ready to have some sort of fresh start on something. You're going to have to look at things. You're going to have to study still, but at the same time, I think you're ready to put the work in. He's looking at this big pentacle. It's like he's looking at a big opportunity. I said at the beginning of the reading, it's almost like you already have the idea. It's like you already... you probably have already had the thought of what to do now to move forward in 2026, right? And so I would just pick it and make it happen. I would just pick one of your favorite ideas right now and stick to it. With the Chariot, here you go. You have the Ten of Pentacles. Definitely could be a lot of charging towards a lot of success here. The Ten of Pentacles is everything you want and desire. You know, it's the tree of life. It is all your wants and desires coming in for you. Now, I always say this is something that we will work towards forever. It's not something that we just magically get in our lives. But definitely, I like the idea of people focusing on building, leaving a legacy in their life, because even if you don't get to the ultimate dream vision, even if it's not 100%, it's like as you work towards this, your life will get better and better. So, working towards it will improve your life, even if you don't get 100% of the way there. And, I think that will be very good for you. I do feel there is like something's working this week as far as money is concerned. Eight of Pentacles isn't like a ton of money, but what I would say is the Eight of Pentacles is really about setting yourself up for the future. It's a card of material success on the horizon. So it's like whatever you're doing now will pay off in the future, so keep doing it. Can't make this up. With the Page of Pentacles, you have the Six of Swords, literally my card of going back to the drawing board. Like I said on that Page of Pentacles, the message I was getting there is that, it's almost like you're not going to have to keep doing that, which I think is really a good thing, of course, Pisces. It's like I think you're too used to like starting something and then having to try it like 10 times to get it to work. And I know I'm speaking very generally here, but, I think this is for anything that you've tried, work, business, love, money, in spirituality, everything. And so I feel like you're like moving on from that energy, and I feel it's going to feel really good. And sorry, my camera's been trying to focus on my eye. I don't even have it set to eye focus. I checked the other day, and it keeps doing it. So there you go, camera issues. But, again, I think you're moving on to calmer shores, which is great. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you this week, you have this retreat card. It says, sometimes taking a break is the best thing you can do to gain clarity and a fresh perspective. You have this boss card. Here you go. It says, gone are the days of answering to anyone else. Your destiny is now in your own hands. Yes, that is definitely true for Pisces. I do feel that, with Neptune leaving Pisces, now is the time to, even though it doesn't leave until the end of January, it doesn't matter. I would start now, taking control of your reality. I think you're going to feel a lot better in like what you can do with your reality once Neptune leaves Pisces, because it's like Neptune, people say Neptune rules Pisces. You all know how I feel about Neptune ruling Pisces. I don't think that it does. And what I would also say is that, I think for you, it's going to feel you're going to feel a little bit more grounded, and you're going to feel a little less like your ideas are just, these high in the sky ideas that can't be manifested, and things are going to feel a little bit more possible for you. But again, you're going to have to take advantage of that energy. We're still going to, I believe in astrological hangovers, where it's like we're going to feel the energy for a while. Neptune is very slow moving, so that energy is going to kind of move forward for the next few months. But what I would say here is like start proving to yourself that you can do things that you set your mind to. I know that sounds very simple, but it is that simple, right? You have the Eight of Pentacles, the Nine of Cups, and the Emperor. I love this Eight of Pentacles in this reading as long as you stay motivated, because, it's like what you're working on, I feel, is going to continue to work. And I also feel like if you're trying to improve your finances, trying to make more money, this is saying there is more money coming in the future. But I also get that feeling of momentum because we have the Chariot. We're also entering into a year of momentum. So you have to like momentum has to be fed. You have to like keep it going to make sure that you see the success. He's also working on one thing. He's not working on 900 projects at once. So like I said at the beginning of the reading, I feel you've already had the idea necessary to be successful. You just have to follow through on that idea. You have the Nine of Cups. I would get clear on your vision with the Ten of Pentacles. I always tell people with the Ten of Pentacles to like get out a piece of paper and like what does your perfect life look like? Write it down, right? If everything went 100% according to plan, if nothing could go wrong, what would your day look like? What would your life look like? What would you be doing? And, you really have to think deep about it. You have to go one step deeper than you think. And what I mean by that is I've had people do this exercise and they basically say, oh, I'd move to Fiji and I would drink, margaritas on the beach for the rest of my life. It's like, yeah, that sounds good, but, it gets boring pretty quickly. And so, you have to think about things deeper than just drinking margaritas on the beach with your girlfriends, right? You have to think about, like, what hobbies would you have? Where would you use your energy? Even if you didn't have to work, it's like most of you probably would want something to work on so that you feel useful in life. So it's like, what would that be? Would it be like, I don't know, would it be some sort of hobby? Would it be an interest that you would work on every single day? Would it be some sort of habit? Like, what would it be, Obviously, if you were drinking margaritas on the beach every single day, you'd probably need to be working out as well, because it wouldn't be very good for your health. So it's like, what would your workout look like? What would you do every single day to stay active so that you don't get diabetes, right? And I don't know. You're all different. So write it down, figure it out, because the Nine of Cups is about getting into alignment with what we want. The trick with the Nine of Cups, we don't just get a wish with the Nine of Cups. We have to be the thing that we want to be before we can have it. And that's what I would work on here. Next, you have the Emperor, who is the boss, and you have that card that says boss on it. So you could be bossing up here, Pisces. I definitely feel you are. I mean, there's definitely very good energy for Pisces to be taking the lead. I always say he's just sitting here on his throne, and he has his armor on underneath his cloak. The armor represents the fact that he's ready to go at a moment's notice. So whenever an opportunity presents itself, he takes it. He jumps on that opportunity. He doesn't wait around for things to happen, right? And so I would be preparing for opportunities for at least the first 3 months of the year. I know this is a weekly reading, but I do think this is very important for Pisces, is that it's like the first 3 months of the year, until March, basically, until like the end of your birthday. I would say the first 3 months, I think they're going to feel different for sure than 2025, but there are some similar energies. And so we have to make sure that we're motivating ourselves to work on whatever we want to work on, because, again, I think the one danger for Pisces is staying lazy the first 3 months of the year and not getting anything done. It's almost like the reading itself. I'm just going to say this. It's almost like the reading itself is saying you need to prove to yourself that 2026 is going to be different, right? And so I would take action like right away, this week, today. Today is December 22nd, so this will be published on the 23rd. Even if you're watching this the week of the 22nd, I would like pick one thing and be like, what's one thing I could do right now to make 2026 different than 2025? And, I feel if you do that, things will go well. I definitely feel you could be attracting a person, by the way. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have the Four of Wands, marriage. You could be attracting someone where there's marriage potential coming in for you with this person. You've been getting Scorpio. I think you also get Capricorn and Cancer with me, which are, those are all pretty decent matches for Pisces. So, definitely, and I don't believe in sun sign compatibility. I think you have to look at a lot more than the sun to figure out compatibility. Like Venus, Jupiter, the moon are all better things to look at as far as love is concerned for a good match, but it could be any sign, right? But I do think that there could be a deep commitment coming in here with this energy. Four of Wands wants you to commit to one thing, as I've been saying this entire reading. Again, it's like, I think you've already had the idea. You probably know what I'm talking about, so I would get to work. With the Nine of Cups, yes, it's like those doubts, the things that creep in, the things that tell you you can't do something. It's like that's what needs to be overcome, this year for you, Pisces. I would try to overcome some sort of doubt in like the first few months if you can. And again, we all have doubts, we all have issues. Again, I do my affirmations every single morning, right? I think affirmations are a great way to brainwash yourself out of something. The thing with affirmations is you have to do them every day, right? It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. So I think it would be a great time to like look at your doubts. It's like, where am I doubting myself? Where am I feeling like I'm not strong? And that's what I would work on, starting this week. With the Emperor, you have the Hierophant. There you go. Definitely could be a love connection, like I said. The Hierophant, like, don't be afraid of breaking rules. The Hierophant, sometimes he has to think outside the box, or he can represent needing to think outside the box. And, again, if you're, like, getting an opportunity to, like, work on something or work on a business opportunity or whatever, I feel like this is saying, obviously don't break the law. But, again, if you have to bend the rules or something, or if you have to come up with different ways of doing things, don't be afraid of doing that. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this fourth house card. It says home on it. You have this Gemini card. It says, we were literally talking about Gemini being your fourth house. And it says cross-pollinate on it. Yes. I've talked to everyone about this, that Uranus and Gemini wants us to mix two ideas together. I think coming up with third place solutions, which I'm a big fan of, I talk about it all the time, is what we should be doing with Uranus and Gemini. So third place solutions are just solutions to problems, or it doesn't even have to be problems. It could be an improvement that you're trying to make in your life. But it's like, is there a way you can either mix two ideas together, which I'm, a big fan of right now, and will be for the next 7 years. It's a great way to innovate. Or is there another solution that someone hasn't thought of? Hierophant. Hierophant can say everybody's getting locked into tradition, just the way things have always been done. Is there a way you can break free from that to stand out? If you're trying to have a business or a career or whatever you're doing, it's like, what are the different ways you can do things? There will be a lot of changes in your home during Uranus and Gemini. Again, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Uranus loves Gemini, but your relationship to your home could be changing. How you feel about where you live could be changing. You could be moving around a lot over the next 7 years. You could be traveling a lot more, all that stuff. So, makes sense. You show up here with the Moon, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Three of Cups. So the Moon is your card. Whenever you show up as yourself, puts you in a position of power and strength. The Moon is not necessarily my favorite card, but what I would say is I do feel pretty good about it. I would be careful of, I think the only thing that can confuse you right now is yourself, Pisces. And as a Pisces who confuses himself every single day, I totally understand where you're coming from here, but at the same time, like I said, I think you've seen something recently. Again, this is part of the Fool's journey. He can, even though it's dark, it is a full moon. He can still kind of see where he's going. And so I feel for a lot of you, it's like maybe recently you've had an idea about like what to do in work or business or your love life or anywhere else. And I feel the moon is almost actually confirmation. I feel like it's saying, yeah, it's not, things aren't going to go 100% according to plan, but, for the most part, I think you have a good plan right now, Pisces, or you at least have an idea for a plan that you could follow. And again, I would just get started. You have the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles is a card of resourcefulness and needing to be resourceful. Kind of boring because I think everybody's going to have the Queen of Pentacles for years to come. We're in a time where we have to be resourceful. Mark my words, money is changing. Money will change. I guarantee you we'll see, within the first 3 months of the year, I guarantee you we'll see something happen with money. What? I have no freaking clue. I don't try to predict Neptune and Pisces. It's unpredictable. But there will be some sort of change. Something will happen. And we have to be resourceful. I don't really think it's that big of a deal because really money has looked very good for people at the end of the year and also the beginning of next year as well. So it could be a positive thing, or we could be finding ways around anything that happens. Like I said, I wouldn't really worry about it. But what I would say is I would think about how you can be resourceful this year. Like even if you had $1 billion in the bank account, even if you win the lottery tonight, it's like $1.6 billion, right? I never play the lottery, but when it hits over $1 billion, when it's like 1.6, I definitely buy a ticket, right? Why not? Is what I would say. But what I would say here is even if you have $1 billion in the bank account, you probably shouldn't be wasting it all over the place, right? And the Queen of Pentacles says, can you do things from a resourceful perspective? You have the Three of Cups. Three of Cups is a reunion. It is also a card of celebration. This is coming up in a future position. Three of Cups, these three ladies are celebrating a harvest. And again, I'm telling you right now, whatever you're thinking about working on with that Eight of Pentacles is going to lead to a future harvest. So, I would keep putting that work in to, and again, if you have recently, I literally feel this is a recent thing, like over the last week. So today, again, is the 22nd. Whatever a week ago was, I don't know. But, over the last week, if you have recently had an idea, that is what you need to pay attention to. Some of you might be having the idea this week, so whatever. I would be paying attention to the thoughts that are popping into your head. That's where it feels like you're downloading this. That's why I'm saying this. With the moon, you have the Nine of Swords. Again, I feel pretty good about this. I was saying this earlier. There's something about that Emperor in your reading that's saying to me that you have the opportunity to make 2026 completely different in a good way. And I feel it's saying, do something different today, like when you're watching this reading, right? Go do something that you didn't do yet in 2025. We're still in 2025, obviously. But, again, do something that you haven't done because I literally feel it will set you up for 2026. And I think I said something like this to you recently, so it seems to be important for you. With the Queen of Pentacles, you have the King of Swords here. Yeah, it is kind of weird. It's like I do get this feeling that it's like if you're like again, this is I don't think this is a bad thing, but what I would say is like if you're attracted to men, it's like you could be attracting someone who's coming from like a different energy. If you're attracted to women, same thing. It's like I'm not saying masculine or feminine here, but it almost feels like that to me. It's like if you're attracted to men, I'm not saying you're attracting a feminine man or anything. I'm not saying you're attracting a masculine woman unless that's what you're into, but it just there's something different is what I feel. What I'm kind of wondering here for you Pisces is if you're attracting someone who's coming from a different energy right now. It's almost like it's like I see someone in my head who wants to communicate with you, but they're not. King of Swords can be a little bit, kind of closed off. Can also be a little bit too matter of fact as well. Is this a bad thing? I'm not sure. I think I recently asked a question at the end of one of your readings, and I said, is this person going to make a move? I'm pretty sure that was you, because I remember getting the Page of Wands. So it's all coming back to me now here, Pisces. And it's like, so yes, I think this person will make a move. It's like the same person, I feel. Like I'm having deja vu as I'm doing your reading here. But it's almost like right this second, they're just in a weird energy or something. With the Three of Cups, you have the Ace of Pentacles. Yes, we talked about big opportunities with the Emperor. We talked about how the Page of Pentacles twice is looking at this big pentacle. So, this reading is pretty simple. I think it's saying you need to focus on that idea you just had, or you need to focus on like that one thing, because it'll probably set you up for a lot of abundance or, a lot of success. And again, if you haven't had the idea yet, I feel you're about to. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this look at the big picture card, and you have the surrender to the divine card. Yes, I think Pisces is really good at surrendering to, the energies. The big picture thing is definitely very good. I think that you could be having a big picture idea that really leads to a lot of success for you. So, definitely something to think about. I'll tell you a really weird story that's popping into my head here, Pisces. The other day I was looking for a book, and I couldn't remember the name of it, so I was like searching around, right? And I haven't read it yet, but I found a book that I've never read, if you can believe it, and I think it was called Range. And again, I don't know, I think I added it to my wish list, so I don't know if I actually bought it or not. Let's look. But anyway, I haven't read it yet, so I can't tell you if it's a good idea or not to read it, right? It has good reviews. Let's see here. Yeah, it's called Range, okay? And sorry, I was listening to Kyle, but there you go. But anyway, the book is about people. It's basically about how everybody tells you to specialize, right? In any field, any business that you're working on, they tell you to specialize. But the book itself was about generalists, people who do everything, who do a lot of stuff. And, I think, I don't know because I haven't read it yet, but I think the premise of the book is that people who generalize, they actually become very successful, but later in life, because they never really specialize in anything. They gain a bunch of skills, but eventually what they're able to do is cross-pollinate with that Gemini card. They're able to mix all their skills together into like one big thing. I don't know. It's kind of weird that I was just, got that book. It stood out to me when I read it. And so, that, I don't know. Big picture, mixing things together with the Gemini energy. It could be time where you're about to like launch something very big is what I'm trying to spit out here. You have this Death card, the Page of Swords, and the Lovers. The Death card is like a big transformation or change. I think there could be a Scorpio here coming in for you, Pisces. The other weird thing, you've been getting Scorpio for like 3 weeks all of a sudden. So this like could be a new person. You have the Five of Pentacles. Scorpio gets the Five of Pentacles in like every single reading that I do for them. Again, obviously Five of Pentacles isn't necessarily love, but it's just like an interesting connection here. So there you go. But definitely could be there will be big changes in 2026 for you. So, it's coming up in the good stuff. They'll be good. You have the Page of Swords. Someone's got their eye on you, like I already said. I'm pretty sure this came up for you last week as well. And yes, I think they're going to make a move, but when, I have no clue. The Page of Swords also wants you to be more curious and wants you to look into things. Again, I would start making those connections. If you have done a lot of things in your life, it's like, what were in each of the things that you have done, what were you good at? then I would write it down on a piece of paper. Then I would think about how can I mix this together. I think that's what you need to get curious about with that card. You have the Lovers, definitely love coming in for you. You can probably, I think if there's love coming in for you, you can feel it. It's like I feel you can, it's almost like you can feel that something is coming. And so definitely could be a solid love connection. With the Death card, you have the Five of Swords. Yes, there is something about this reading that is saying this would be a good week for you to make that clean cut from 2025. Even though we're not in 2026 yet, even if you're watching this on the 29th, you have a couple more days of the year. So, I would make that clean cut now. With the Page of Swords, you have the Strength card. The whole entire reading is about strength. The Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles says, do not call attention to your weaknesses. Wants you to focus on your strengths. You're going to have to develop strength at this time. But I don't think this is a bad thing at all. It's coming up in the good stuff. It's like you clearly have the strength to say, like, okay, 2025 was this way. I want 2026 to be different, so I need to do something different right now. With the Lovers, you have the Ten of Swords. I don't know. I think you're breaking people's hearts, honestly. It's coming up in the good stuff. Ten of Swords is in the good stuff is a blessing in disguise. And so, again, you could be seeing how the fact that, like, past connections, the fact that they didn't work, it has led to a person that is a blessing. But kind of the funny thing that's popping into my head here is that, again, I think that you being taken off the market might disappoint a lot of people. They're Pisces. But there you go. You have this hammock. It says taking a vacation physically or mentally. Yes, a very busy year for you in 2026. So, this is the last week of 2025. I would be, I've told you a million times, I would be finding something that recharges your batteries, whether it's like a hobby, an interest, a place you can go. It's like you're going to need to take breaks. You have this purse card that says pay attention to your finances. Yeah, even if you win the lottery tonight, like I said, well, actually, this will be published the day after, so if you won, congratulations. But number two, I would say that, I wouldn't be spending money all over the place. You have this archway. It says new opportunities, possibilities, and paths opening up. That's what the beginning of the reading felt like to me. It's like things have been the same for too long. Nine of Swords, Moon as well. And now it's like you're finally moving forward, or it's like something is different. I know that's a dumb message. I wish I could tell you what is different. Maybe it's just the energy is different. And so it's like you're able to move forward differently, and I think that could lead to a lot of success for you. You have this bridge. It says successfully overcoming a problem. Love it. Definitely a very good week for you. I think, a lot of good stuff here. You have this kangaroo. It says unsettled times, need to plan ahead. Yes, we are in unsettled times until 2033. There's so much going on. There's so many things that I could talk about. And so your job is to just focus on what you can control. I think people who do that, who are not screaming the sky is falling, are going to be perfectly fine. So there you go. This looks amazing. I love it. So thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your week.